Welcome to Friends on the Zoom, wherever. I actually don't even know necessarily know all the places that we stream. And so just whatever platform you're on and wherever you're coming from, welcome. I was telling Leah that last week I told Caroline, who was on this before, I like to imagine that 4,000 people are watching. If you guys could only understand how different I was way back when to now, that I prefer to imagine that 4,000 people are watching. That is crazy. But Caroline was like, I'm going to imagine that there's 4 or something like that. And I'm actually curious what Leah likes.
You know
So,
what's so I think what you just said is hilarious because I was like, 4,000. That's huge. I would probably do 0. Like it's just me.
just me and you.
Just you and me and you having a
Okay.
combo.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
We could do that. You feeling a little shy today? You're my little shy.
Oh, always a little shy. Even when I'm in a conversation with one person, there's still part of me that's shy. I'm like, oh, but I want it to feel like someone's a fly. I like being a fly on the wall in other people's conversations. Maybe that's why I think other people would like that too, to kind of hear like a woman's conversation.
Oh, I see. You want it to feel really intimate. That's why
Yes.
I want it to feel really intimate too. I just want to feel like 4,000 people are watching intimacy.
Okay. Okay. I
That
think I
sounds
can
so
pretend.
exhibitionist. I've literally never been exhibitionist.
Yeah, it's
Like
wild. I was so
I have grown. I have grown.
so much.
This is what's happened.
I
Okay, so
watched you grow.
I'm gonna just reiterate my intention for this particular show, and then I'm gonna talk about you and my relationship with you for a minute, and then I'm gonna ask you some questions that you don't know what they're gonna be, and then you're gonna, answer them or not or whatever. It could be like the old turn on game rules. You could lie, tell the truth, or refuse to answer, just like
Yep.
life. But
Mm-hmm.
truth telling is always the hottest. So you can just have those roles. We have free will. We do free will around these parts. Um, so I started this. So this is just our second episode of Conversations with Women. And I started this because I consistently, almost on a daily basis, have some of the um, deepest, richest, most intimate, healing, beautiful, wise conversations with the women in my life, the erotic women that I've intentionally surrounded myself with. I can't honestly say I'm so lucky to have all these women in my life because I've actually like really made the decision repeatedly throughout my life to do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, or to cultivate this thing instead of just default to my comfort settings, and all kinds of different things in order to actually have that in my life. So I very deliberately surrounded myself with all of these women, and we consistently have these like incredibly potent conversations that just kind of blow my mind. And I don't take it for granted because I really value it so much. I really do. But it would be almost easy to take it for granted because they're so frequent. And so I wanted to share them basically. This podcast was I wanted to offer these conversations out into the world for whoever watches them live or watches the recording or listens or whatever. Like, I wanted people to have access to these conversations because I actually think they're amazing.
Can I just say, I'm interrupting you by corroborating.
Whoa.
Um, because I don't know how many times I've had a conversation with you over the past 14 years that I've known you, and I'm like, God, I wish every woman could have heard what Aubrey just told me. So I'm so happy that you're doing these. Literally,
Thanks,
so
Leah.
happy. Yeah,
Thank
deep down in
you.
there. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, me too. And I want all erotic women that I know, I would love to cycle through here at some point. And these last two, I'm kind of getting it going. And so I'm trying it out with just one-on-one for right now. And I'd like to do it kind of panel style eventually. Like maybe next week we do three of us, and kind of see how that feels and go from there. So yeah, that's my intention. I want these really rich, intimate, erotic woman conversations to be like an offering out into the world. So we'll do our best to be fairly unfiltered so that you can just have full access to the vast interior wealth that we have very deliberately cultivated inside of ourselves as erotic women. Bookmark that one, Leah. Let's talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe we start with that.
yeah.
Interior wealth. Okay, so but first I want to, so this is Leah Mendelson. We're in different, I'm in Auburn, California, the hometown that I grew up in. Leah is in Harlem, New York City. And I'm headed back there tomorrow, but we couldn't sit in the same place because we're in different states. But I have known Leah for, what did you say, 14 years? That seems right.
Yeah. Well, I think I met you like a year after I first owned, so that's like 14.
Okay. Yeah. So about that long time. I've known Leah for a really long time. And one really cool thing about erotic woman sisterhood and, you know, like orgasmic meditation community and community based in like these type of principles and stuff. One of the really cool things is that you potentially get to see people's like whole journey through it. And so you get to, I like Leah knows where I started and I know where Leah started. And so
Yeah.
when we like so then I think something present in all of our conversations is that knowledge, like that knowledge of where each of us began and where we are now and the women that we are now, that I see it like, I think we like both like glimpsed where we were headed back then. We looked at each other and we were like, I can see you behind all of the layers and I can see where you're headed and you're amazing. Let's do
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah.
But I've had the honor of knowing Leah through a lot of different twists and turns, you know, of her life and her erotic journey. And one of the things that I have consistently like seen in Leah and connected to and related to really deeply is her Pisces moon.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, for those of you not super into astrology, is that Leah has this like deep, incredible, kind of rippling sensitivity to her entire being. And, you know, she doesn't always love it. I think there's been times when she wishes she wasn't so sensitive and has tried to hide it and cover it up and be like, what? No, I'm not. I'm tough. I'm super tough. Leave me alone, you know. But like that's always been the thread in you that I've been able to connect to the most deeply. And I think when we have our conversations, like it's literally the reason why we're able to connect the way that we do, because you let me in so deep. Like I don't know if anyone out there has had the experience of like holding a tiny baby animal in the palms of your hands, like a little chick, or like a little, I don't know. I see these videos where people successfully pet baby deer and stuff like that. If you've ever pet a baby deer, anything like that, you know, like tiny little baby goat hops everywhere kind of thing.
Little bones. I think they have little bones.
That feeling of like this tiny creature being like so trusting because it's like totally at your mercy. And it's just like, hi, looking at you with its little baby eyes, you know, or a little kitten, you know, it's kind of like, hi. And you're like, oh my God, I'm holding this thing's life in my hands. That's how it feels. That's how Leah lets me in. And that's how we've always connected. I mean, it took some time in the beginning to kind of like get in there with each other, but that's where we connect the deepest. And that's kind of how she lets me in. And it's like kind of an honor and a privilege because of that to know her that way and to be led in that way. And I think your sensitivity is your power. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's my introduction to Leah. So if
Mhm.
you would like to have a rebuttal, you can.
Well,
We have to talk about interior wealth at some point too.
okay, fair. I just would like to more corroboration. I don't have any rebuttal. Just like I think it's so, I mean, connection with women can feel so vulnerable and so like sometimes like I just feel so vulnerable because I feel like women can see more than men, sort of the certain by and large, the certain machinations of, a woman's relationship to her desire and where she's cutting corners and everything. So I'll say that. And then I feel like every time I've approached you with this like thing that I'm like out of control about, I go to you because I feel like one, you have facility, but two, you recognize the delicate thing of it. And that I feel so nervous about sharing it. It's like, hey, there's this thing happening, and I'm not being trying much of a burden because I know that it's really delicate and I'm totally not
Oh,
broken or
the
anything, but
burden
like,
piece. Oh God,
I
let's get
know.
to that in a
We got
minute.
to talk about,
Your
so,
obsession with thinking you're a burden.
right, right. Because it's so like, you know, delicate feeling. And so I'm like, I'm not trying to place this in your hands, but it is sensitive. But I've been really grateful for how you've just been with me through such over and over again, such delicate matters.
Terrain.
Terrain. So I I do it because I know, because a part of my system knows that you will be, honoring of it and very, and yeah, and then and I won't be coddled either. Like you've a fierceness that I also find relief in, so yeah.
Thanks, Leah. Yeah. Okay, so first topic, interior wealth as an erotic woman. I want to know, I want to know your
Really,
thoughts on this subject right off the top of your head.
I got him. I got him.
Okay,
Because
good.
it's something I probably work with on a daily basis. To me, interior wealth feels closely tied to a sense of value. In a world like a woman, my own relationship to me, knowing that I have a lot of value as a woman, just inherently in who I am without needing to necessarily perform or do anything. And that my presence is just walking into a room, I can impact how it feels. And that's how much power I have. And I think as women, and I'll speak for myself, but I think a lot of women do share this belief that I, and it's been a lot of work to recognize that I have value and impact, but that when I walk into a room, I can add so much of it just by being who I am. But I can't do that unless I recognize how much beauty I have inside. And I think so many women have so much beauty inside, but discount it because it's on the inside and it's invisible visually. And we live in, a material based, mostly visual based stimuli world. And as women, our value is usually like if you're going to go the lowest common denominator, it's usually attached to how we look or like our career, like money and looks. And there can be other external factors like how many friends do we have and da 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 da. But to me, interior wealth is really like, okay, if everything external was taken away, the assured knowledge that I have so much beauty and interior richness that isn't dependent on any other person or any situation or any title, that knowledge is what gives me my value. It's like a snake that eats its own head, right? Like if I disconnect from my interior wealth, then I kind of I like have some shame around, I think I'm not worth anything, and then people can't see it, and then I can't contribute. But if I recognize what's already there, then I can contribute in the way that I'm meant to as a woman, or one way that I'm meant to as a woman, which is just by knowing that I am the jewel, that I have everything everyone wants access to inside myself, and no one can take it away. Not a breakup, not a firing, not a friend leaving. Um, and I think that it frees other women too when you carry that really assured sense.
Hmm. Yeah, really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I love that. I also want to talk about what it means to I want to talk about it in relationship to appetite and fullness and what it means to like cultivate and kind of maybe create your life as a form of cultivating interior wealth, like ongoingly. As a woman, I think that part of women conditioning is to uh, make light of our needs, our real needs, like I think a lot of times we
Yeah.
get caught up thinking it's this set of things, like I need and want this set of things, when some of our deeper desires and our deeper hungers fall by the wayside, or aren't recognized, or they're confronting, so we're like, no, I'm going to do these things over here, and then we get sort of overfull in the places where we get overfull in these places and underfull in these places, and there's like a being on the spot thing of cultivating more interior wealth by feeding ourselves well. And I want you to talk about that too, and also you just if it's organically comes into it, but I think also just your helping run Organic Erotic, um and anyone running like an Eros based company has to do with that as well. So however that weaves into it also. Um, and speaking of which, I have to grab water really fast. So
Okay, go get your water.
you
I'll
talk.
okay, great. Let me have a sip of mine while we're at it.
They grab it really fast.
Ah, so good. Okay. Now you can get your water and I can talk. Um, I love that point, that other lens on interior wealth. And that one, honestly, it takes just like the other point of interior wealth of our inherent value, takes consistent remembering, feeding our appetite and recognizing different things we're hungry for, takes consistent attention. And you know, it's not set it and forget it. And there are always, well, I don't know about always, but there are just there are categories of things that I feel comfortable eating. For me, one is food. Another one is, well, actually, that'd be, there's a, and then women friendships that I've been growing into, but it is definitely the ones that I feel the least comfortable feeding from that, paradoxically have the most nutrition for me, meaning like there's a feeling of wholeness. Like I had a long period where I was more comfortable connecting with men, and it has certain sort of relating to them, which was more like flirtatious, but they didn't really like know me. And then I had women friends, and it was more like work based, and there was definitely connection there, but there wasn't there was a certain depth of connection that I wanted that was deeper than what I was experiencing, and I didn't know how to have it. And paying attention to that appetite and that hunger, even when it was so uncomfortable, keeping my attention on it and just, if you're going to use own language, stroking it out and doing just the next right thing that I see. Because I felt totally skillless, honestly, in connecting with women at the depth that I have sensed was possible. So it was a years long matter of tapping and keeping attention on that part of my appetite. And then the funny thing that happened is that when I connected more with women at the depth that I sensed was there, my relationships with men became a lot easier because I had this network to plug into of women that could help me in areas and then now it's men is harder. So it just, there's this little, um, it's a constant sort of game, but it's beautiful because the more I feed myself, the more I tap into the depth of my appetite and my hunger, it's concurrently and learn the sort of natural laws of what it means to like enter female friendships. The more skill and experience and riches I get to experience. So there's part of me that wants to be like, oh God, the level of my appetite is such a burden. I wish I was just happy with less. And I'm not gonna say that voice doesn't come in because it does. And there's another part that's like, oh, there's a part of me, a deep part of me that when I started this life was like, I really want to live it to the fullest. I really want to have the rich depth of experiences that is possible as a human being. And that part is winning so far. And I'm really happy about it. And it just continues to unfold. And it's like, you don't know until you don't know. So in the deepest sense, there's just more and more richness that's been unfolding for me with women relationships. And I keep talking about that because it's the one that's like the most alive for me right now. Um, and then with leading, like helping run a company, I have a huge appetite that's been more, I would say like I'm in agreement with where there's, with of purpose and like really bringing the riches that I've discovered through orgasmic meditation and through Eros and through a community of people who've dedicated either part or a lot of their lives to their path of Eros. Um, and so I've had this drive to share and also an appetite for art and creativity and expression. Expression's been a big one for me as already mentioned, I am a Piscean moon, which means I'm very sensitive. Sometimes I get a little nervous about saying things. Um, or being in, communication with other people who have strong feelings. Uh, and I would say it's just so beautiful to get to work with other women to create organic erotic. And I couldn't have done that if I didn't lean in to my appetite for purpose and also appetite for women connection. Because to run a company, like people are going to have different opinions. And so there's my appetite.
They're all Virgos. I just want you guys to know.
Our whole
It's
Virgo
three, it's three Virgos plus a Leo.
plus a Leo plus a Leo.
For anyone
Right.
who's into astrology, if you're not,
Yeah. Virgos are very particular. We have opinions about very detailed things and we're passionate about them. So if you can imagine running, which is the most amazing thing, so you can have beauty. The potential is so great. You can have beauty everywhere, or you could get nothing done. Oh, the Leo is also Pisces moon. That's true.
that's wild.
True.
Wow.
Our Leo is
Starting
actually
an
a Pisces
astrology
moon.
podcast on
That's right.
Okay,
But
but wait. Tell me, zoom me in on the women
yes.
relationships importance. Tell me about the things that you've learned. Tell me some of your bits of wisdom that have been hard won about
Oh
your women
man.
relationships.
Um, well, definitely the like feeling of exposure that I've avoided. Uh, I've also learned, has that much potential in it. Like that much anxiety around connecting with women has had that much gifts. And really, it's really taught me my desire, my appetite to connect with women has taught me, has taken me through the travails that would teach me that how do we basically communicate my feelings and actually bring importance to my feelings, and really be aware that we are part of a shared felt sense network, and to bring it to really brick and mortar, like we walk into a room and I really can see now, oh, three women are in a room. There's a connection between them all. There's unsaid, felt communication, um, and a sort of shared resource pot that's potential. Like we can make a room. Any woman can make a room feel wonderful or challenging to be inside of. But if you get a few women together who like backing each other, even invisibly, even just energetically, it's really opened me up to the invisible
Mm.
truth of energetics that is there. And I am a prior psychedelic person. And so I knew that, but I
You're like,
didn't know.
I'm aware of interconnected mycelial reality
Yes,
already. but this is
Yes.
another level.
Another level. And I'm like, and it's just it's confronting because you can't escape the truth of it. It's like you can't escape gravity. And so before I would be like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just gonna pretend it's not there. And this is not my conscious thought. I didn't like you actually have that language in my head, but that was what I was doing. And then I had less power, just like to make things go, to do my purpose, to create. And also, I'm like, I don't want to deal with other people's feelings or opinions. It sounds messy, and I'm too sensitive to deal with this stuff. Um, and but it's been so beautiful, like exposing my sensitivity, bringing value to it, and just slowing down enough and being like, oh no, I'm worth. This woman cares about me. I think a lot of it was just believing that a woman wouldn't want to know those things or wouldn't feel like it was important, and they would want to just keep moving along and doing important things. But really, I've been astonished at how when I say something honest about my interior world, they're so relieved. And they're like, oh, thank God he told me that. I'm like, I thought I wasn't having an impact at all, you
I thought
know?
I was a burden.
Yeah, exactly. Or I thought I had to wrap it up so I wouldn't be a burden, but then I ended up getting more burden because they're like, what is that feeling over there? Or I like, I don't need to spread it around.
You have this one. I have this one really strong. I think maybe you do, but you have to tell me because I can't think of a specific time with you. But I've had to work through this one really strong, which is this is a woman game. This is a thing women do. Men can do this too, but it tends to be end up being more women. Which is like withdrawing your energy or your presence or withholding it in some way from a scene or a moment, a conversation, a company you're running together. Withholding it or withdrawing it in some way in order to, like, you don't know right in the moment necessarily that's why you're doing it, but then later you're like, oh, I was doing that in order to feel my impact because I didn't think I had any, or to feel my significance because I didn't think I had any.
Yes, yes. There are totally parts of me that I'm like, that are not the nicest part. And I'm like, if I withhold my gifts, then it's just like, then
Then
you'll
you'll see.
flail. Then you'll see how much I was holding you, or like, and it's like,
Then
oh,
you'll appreciate me and know I have impact. And
exactly.
everybody's always like, I knew you had impact. You're the one who didn't know you had impact. Get your shit together. Okay, so you have this one.
I do, I
Okay,
do, I
good,
do.
good.
I'm
I
like,
do too. I do too. This has been a deep one that I've had to look at.
yeah. It's so interesting. These things can be so reflexive. Like I mean, a lot of us, we have different ones as women, but it's just so reflexive. And so it takes a lot to like steer the boat it feels so unnatural, but there's so much. It's literally like those kinds of things that just feel natural that aren't beneficial, but feel natural to like as like a way to feel safe or in control or stable. I get really honestly like excited about discovering those pieces because I'm like, oh, this is like life. This is like, if you know the word like karma, this is like the stuff that I'm meant to discover and unravel and find my way through in this lifetime. And it's those deep-seated things. So um, that's an aside, but yes. Yeah, those sort of things. And I feel like as women, like, and then once we tell each other our things and we get really honest about like our habits of withholding, then they're not as heavy or not heavy. Talk about a burden. They're not as heavy a burden to because we were sharing them. And then we learn how to like work with each other and we have support. And then we can actually speed up the alchemy together. And it's like, then what we thought was a burden is actually now like our plaything to like figure out and like our passion. And it doesn't have to be like a passion, like a man is our passion or like da, 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 but like we become our own, we become obsessed with ourselves and we're like, oh, it's so hot that I'm like figuring this hard thing out and oh, I'm so Oh, it's so good. It's hard, but it's so great. And oh, let me know what your hard but great thing is. And oh, that's so great. And then you see other women work with their things, and it's like just so alive and special. And and even if we fight, which happens because my thing is touching your thing, um, usually we resolve it, and then we get to witness each other like in the throes of it and then also in the healing of it too. So for
That's
the
so good. That's so fun.
yeah.
I love that. So tell me about because when you described that feeling of like getting kind of obsessed with yourself and your women friends and your journeys together and everything, like in that way, like it's just there's so much sensation there, and I think this is a woman, this is a like there's this thing where Nicole's been saying this for like a million years, and it's also in the sutras. And then I also have heard other cool female teachers say it too, like Elizabeth Gilbert, in different ways. There's this idea that women in the sutras, it's described as like women need to self-define from the inside out rather than engaging in self-negation practices or self-negation like spiritualities, which were built for men. Um,
Yeah.
because men don't have an issue of needing to self-define.
They
Not so
really
much.
don't. They really
Not so much.
don't.
Not so much. We're opposite. We're a bit opposite in that way. Um,
Yeah.
and so that the thing that you just said um, reminded me of that, like becoming obsessed with yourself, right? Like describe the difference between, you know, obsessed with yourself in that way that we can get, which to me has a very nitpicky at yourself kind of way, or like an ego or something in it, versus what you're describing and transmitting, which is something completely different than that. I would say it's on the whole other side of the map from that.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good distinction and discernment to make inside of myself. I have to be like, I would call that like navel gazing, nitpicking, where you just endlessly look at your problems. And it's going to be a very tempting place to just hang out. Um, you can just be there forever.
I know, even though it sucks, right? It's really
Because it's weirdly
telling.
comfortable. And then you're like trying to enroll people in and like,
Yep.
and then they're like, and then you hate them when they say no, and but
Oh
you
yeah.
and then
You're the best friends you've got in your life are the ones who will be like, wow, that was a nice, you really tried to sell me on that one. Good job. I was almost convinced for a second. You
totally. And then I end up hating them if they agree with me. And it's just like, oh, so fun. And then I have to make an
can't
admission to
trust him.
them. You can't trust them. And then you have to be mad at yourself. And then you have to make an admission to them. And then they can learn, oh, they probably had a feeling that during that where they were like, this is weird, but I'm going to agree because I want to have a friend. And I've done that personally
Yep,
a
me
lot.
too.
And then I'd be like, God, now I hate that person because I just like agree with their bullshit. Um, like, and then I can't be friends with them. It's so weird. Um,
It's like the most awkward conversation. I have to go back to somebody later and be like, yeah, so I got really mad at you the other day when I tried my absolute damnedest to sell you that I'm broken and that you like believed me. How dare you?
I know. They're like, well, I was trying to be nice. And I'm like, that was the issue.
They're like, well, you tried to sell it.
This hilarious customer selling relationship. Um, like, why would you buy my product with fake dollar bills? Well, it was a broken product. Ah. Um, uh, yeah, so the discernment between like navel gazing and then just like complete falling in love with yourself. Um, it's so funny that we're talking about this because I was thinking earlier today about how you've talked to me about the fallacy of the idea of falling in love. And I'm just like, I was just thinking, like, God, it's so intense to hear that because so much of we're just taught as women that like one of the best things that could ever happen to you is to fall in love. And then to really feel what you said about falling in love to be true, which was confronting. And what you said was that falling in love is really someone holding a mirror up to you and then you falling in love with your own, and if I'm misquoting, let me know, but falling in love with your own image while they, while you're so distracted with your own beauty that they go and like without you noticing, kind of steal the gems in your fairy cave,
And this
like, hey,
let's just say this was a specific and advanced conversation.
advanced
For
conversation.
anyone out there who may relate to it, good for you. If you don't and you're like, what the hell is this? Not for you.
Not for you, just, take it with a grain of salt. Um, but it was provided me with a lot of freedom and disillusionment that I'm grateful for. So, um, but to relate that to self-obsession is like, and it goes back to value as well, is that looking outside of myself. As a woman, I'm looking for, oh, it's so good because you said self-defining, right? Like as a woman, I've just been conditioned, I just have done this for so long, looked outside of myself to define, to people's responses to me, to define my value to me. So all like, I can feel it so potently, even like now, like it just pops up sometimes. If I'm feeling insecure or like I'm uncomfortable in my life, or I'll start to like lurch towards someone, either if they have either a man or someone that I see as having like a high position or rank or like um and I'll want their approval in order to feel good about myself. And that's like externally defining. And so if I can get it any way, even if it's like um in a certain way, it's like betraying my own values of being really honest, and being in my sort of womanly nature. I'll bypass that sense of value in order to get that little nom 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 sense of like immediate gratification. Like I am valuable. No, 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 no. And the next moment I look at someone and they don't give it to me and then I'm down again. And it's like this ride. And I just think that that's very, very common with women. And I think it's such a beautiful journey when a woman becomes takes that external defining tendency and self-defines herself irrespective of outside responses, because a lot of it is us projecting our insecurities outward anyways. Um, so to really like know our value and then emanate from here and then see it reflected, like noticing reflections of our beauty is amazing. And but I think it's definitely a woman's specific, a female feminine specific path to be bold enough to actively know and engage with the belief that we have value, irrespective of anything external. Um, and the way to know the difference is between navel gazing and this kind of self falling in love is that it's funny, it's actually very simple. Self falling in love feels good. And navel gazing feels like endless crapola. It's like,
Oh,
oh,
quite simple to tell the difference.
yeah. And being obsessed with yourself and so in love with yourself feels like healing and like effusion and warmth and joy and energy. Like you have energy to engage. And it feels like you're giving because you're so full and you're not needing anything from anyone. And you don't need to take anything from anyone because you have the thing that you're trying to get it off of yourself, all the love you have. Versus navel gazing, I'm often trying to get something from someone else in order to like either validate my bad feelings or get pity or be told I'm special or valuable.
Beautiful. Very beautiful.
It's fun to talk.
I love that. Yeah, that distinction. I mean, and I think one can convince oneself that one is thrilled with navel gazing, but there's like a voice in the back of the mind. It's anxious or it's a little bit panicked or it's stressed or it's like it's having to convince, it's having to use
Mm.
pressure on yourself in some way to sort of be like, what? No, I love this. I love what I'm doing right now. What do you mean? It's great. I'll prove it to you that it's great. I love it. It's like a reifying of something kind of rigid or something like that. And and the loving, like really like self-defining from the inside out and kind of falling in love with yourself and becoming obsessed with your own journey in the way that, you know, that we're talking about, is it just feels so right. Like there's an ease of freedom and a rightness to it. I think that, and you feel it, like I feel it in my heart and in my chest. I feel it like this sort of, this kind of anticipatory, like on the edge of my seat, yet relaxed,
Mm.
and feeling like it's like that feeling of, it's like I have this so much actually in orgasmic meditation also, and other forms of intimacy, where this is a distinct signature of eros, I feel like, and the eros path and the erotic path is that feeling of anticipating eating and eating at the same time,
Mm.
wanting and having at the same time, feeling where you're headed and seeing the woman that you are becoming at the same time as feeling that you have already arrived and you are already radiating the woman that you are as well, simultaneously, right? That's such a signature of eros, is both of those, feeling both of those. It's such a distinct, like best of both worlds feeling that's so gratifying. It's not a fleeting satisfaction, but it's like a deep gratification.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Um, to me, that's like, it's that kind of feeling where I'm like, God, I love my life. And like, oh my God, like I'm genuinely excited about what's coming, you know, for myself and how everything is so connected and how everything, every struggle from my past has informed the gift that I have now and everything. That's like the most, Um, and then I'm really glad that you brought up that sort of navel gazing. It's almost like that comfort of, and I also just wanted to like about that say that I have a lot of sympathy for when you want to stay there. And because sometimes that is where you're at, where you just don't want to experience a lot of power and you want to keep things at a low level of power. And that thing can only, and you can't convince yourself out of it in order to be like the woman that you think would be a more advanced something. And you really have to sometimes experience it in order to feel the cost of it and maybe or know it for yourself. And then just genuinely from a deep place decide, oh, I want to choose um like radical self infatuation and like I am so obsessed with growing and like myself. Um, but you really sometimes have to go through like staying there for a while before you choose the other side. And so for anyone who's there or and then how you might know is like you're like, am I like that? I'm not like that. Maybe I'm like that. Oh God, you know, because I like that sort of self-negotiation happens a lot. But I have a lot of empathy and understanding. So if you're there, I love you. And we're here whenever you are ready.
We're here to talk to you if you need a lady friend.
Yeah. And I won't even try to move you anywhere or make you different. I'll just say hi.
You're so cute. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Um, okay, last topic, and then we'll wrap up for
Oh
this one.
God, it's just flown by.
It's just flown right on by, you know, lady talks. This is how it goes with ladies talking.
Mhm. True.
Um, okay, so last topic. Okay, so trying to think how to frame it. Like, challenges on the erotic path are many.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh my God.
Like,
Wow. Okay.
pretty
All
broad,
right.
but I mean, like, how does an
Yeah.
erotic woman approach challenges on the erotic path, which are great and many?
Which are great and many. It is quite the odyssey. Um, well, there's so many. Okay. There's a choice that you have to make in every moment, for the most part, um, to turn on, to receive things that are challenging and decide. to enjoy them or use them for your own benefit, even the challenging things. So I'll just speak very literally. Sometimes and this was so much stronger earlier in my erotic path. I have grown so much, but I would get up and just be like, I don't want to have this day. I don't want to experience this day. I don't want to get up. I don't want to engage with anyone. That was me every morning, probably for like 10 years. And then before that as well. Um, and so what I did was I was that way. However, I wanted to evolve through that. And so I started doing practices to support my cauldron of wealth or my pot of gold, from which my life could stem from. And so practices are incredible. Like you can lean on practices the way, you can't always lean on a person, you can't always lean on a situation or a role or title. I feel like I can lean on my practices, and you still have to be engaged with them, but there is a way where, you can step into the room, so to speak, whether it's meditation or yoga, especially for me, it was Om. Um, and then that gives you enough power. So this is my recipe. So do your practices, get enough power to like get up out of bed. And then once you're out of bed and you did your practices, uh, you start engaging with the world and naturally want to start to create. And then you hit challenges with connection. And relationship is the most complex thing on the planet. So the challenges that happen when you have power and you're bumping up against someone else and you're genuinely hitting places that are challenging, where you genuinely don't have skill, where you're genuinely tortured, um, and you've done your practices, uh, or or you just have a desire to connect. I really find a lot of power to move through challenging spots with community and guides and women and teachers of all genders and all kinds. And um, so there's that. So like being vulnerable enough to connect with them. And then while these challenges are happening, my friend Rachel Hemsley says, how is this happening for you? Seeing everything. Okay, how is it happening for me? And I've been going through a really intense challenge for the past few years. And the thing that keeps me going through that is really digging into remembering my desire for myself.
Mm.
Just really digging my heels in there, being like, I see that all that's happening. And I see that I'm having a hard time communicating with, I want to do this project, and this person's seemingly making it difficult. Oh, there's a woman in here that I want to be. Um, or I'm more than that relationship. But it's really digging, really remembering my deepest desire to like be the woman that I know is in here. And that really keeps me going. And then also like whatever your form of God is, but that's more like helps me. But remembering my desire, like what I feel like I want to do before I'm not no longer this identity on this planet, what I want to accomplish for my own life, and what I want to experience in my own life. That feels good. That's a big one that keeps me kind of to my North Star. And then everything is like details from there.
That's really good. Yeah, desire as the North Star. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that so much. This is a core erotic principle. I think literally there's a sutra called Desire is Your True North.
Yes.
um, in the desire section of volume 1, if you would like to peruse that. Okay, this was amazing. Thank you for having this conversation with me. I love this. Plan to be on future panels as well on here of women. Yeah, just thanks for your wisdom, and I loved having you on here. Okay, so a few things for anyone out there streaming. We do have an intro to orgasmic meditation class coming up on September 20th at erosplatform.com. If you want to go there and sign up for it, it's free. We also have an intro to erotic artists the following day on September 21st. It's also free. They're both, the intro to class is usually like 3 to 4 hours. The intro to erotic artist, probably about 3 hours. They're really engaging, super fun online courses, and they're both free. So if you are new and you want to be introduced to those things, please do sign up for those things. They're great. And then we have calls just about every day of the week on here, whether it's a podcast style thing or like a half-hour suture study or a full hour suture study, or sometimes I do a talk on AI on Wednesdays. We have I think we're doing Turn On World tomorrow, which is a really fun communication games event that we haven't brought online in a little while, but we have done it online in the past, and it's just as great as in person. So that's on the platform for live events for tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what time, but go on there to check that out. That's like an hour. So it's not even a whole class or anything. It's just like a really fun way to dive into connection with some cool people for an hour. Yeah, so just the Eros platform is phenomenal, and we're doing really cool stuff on there. And so come join us, bring your friends. That's what I got.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks, Leah. Thanks, everyone.